And we're live. Cheers. Happy Thursday. Cheers.
Cheeky.
Simply
Cheers, doggy.
Sauvignon Blanc.
Here you go, little poochie. What do you think about that?
Watch my trousers.
That's quite nice, isn't it?
That's a good one, yeah.
That's a particularly nice glass of
Cheers. I might have a little
Sauvignon Blanc with its lees intact.
Lovely. I might have a little wee top up if that's
Top
all
up
right.
already,
Yeah.
getting going.
Hello everyone. We're just
Evening, everyone.
charging the glasses.
Oh, watch out, Poochie.
That's that stuck there. I hope everyone's having a nice Thursday. Had a good week. Enjoyed the sunshine.
Good evening, Mrs. White.
Hello, Claire.
Cheers.
Hope
To
everyone's
the White household.
Hope everyone's managed to get to grips with home hair cutting.
Yes, as you see, I can. I have not.
And we've managed to sort of flag it for a bit of a time now, but I think there is a chop coming on.
Amazing, the dog still thinks it's perfect. What is it
This
about
is fine,
dogs?
yeah. This doesn't grow.
Hair doesn't grow.
It falls
Although
out.
it does, it just, yeah.
It's simply Sauvignon Blanc this evening.
Hello, Louise. Hello,
Hi, Louise. And Doreen. So simply Sauvignon Blanc sort of requires blue, I think.
You're
t-shirt.
simple and I'm Sauvignon.
Right, okay, we'll take that. I think we all know that's not true.
Hi, everyone.
Hi,
Happy
Swan.
Thursday evening. Another beautiful day of sunshine.
Yes, yeah. Although
Another perfect day for a lovely, glorious, chilled glass of Sauvignon Blanc.
exactly.
Do.
Half the population have been sitting in their gardens enjoying the sunshine, and the other half have been working their
Beavering
fingers to the bone. Hi, Alice. Hi, Luke and Simon. So it's weather.
Hello, Swipe.
It's lovely weather for rosé. I mean, we have been
Rosé or Sauvignon?
Well, rosé. The rosé has been disappearing out the door by
As
the
quickly as it comes in.
truckload, literally at the moment, which is great.
Yeah.
But it's also perfect weather for Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah.
No.
Yes. And remember, all those people who think that they don't like rosé, just put a blindfold on. You'll never know the difference. You won't even know whether it's red.
But you're right. We are all about Sauvignon. So hi,
evening, Miss
Michelle.
Groves.
Hi, the Groves. Luke has got the goat's cheese canapé.
Oh, da.
Here we go. Let's have a little look.
Now, they were quite late recipes created this
Yes,
week.
sorry, they were. So there's the mackerel
look-
pâté.
Look at these things.
And
Look
there's
at
the little
these.
muffins, the mini
Hang on, let her get a
muffins.
closer upper.
The mini muffins. So the recipes were out a bit late this week.
With a
so sorry,
beautiful sort
folks.
of pink blancmange in the middle. But
I know.
Jude will tell you all about that.
It's all kind of slightly angel delighty, but they came out quite well. So welcome everyone. Simply Sauvignon Blanc. Who loves Sauvignon Blanc? Where is
I love
your
Sauvignon
favorite Sauvignon Blanc from in the world, as opposed to the shop? Because we don't want to put you through that embarrassment.
Or is
If
that
it's-
just
if it's
impossible
not
because
Hannibal
there's
Brown.
so much where to start?
Well, it's true, but people sort of migrate or find something and they go, "Oh yeah, I love that."
They do.
Invariably, Marlborough Sauvignon is massively
New
popular.
Zealand Sauvignon.
New Zealand Sauvignon.
Now, we do have a New Zealander listening this evening, so it'd be interesting to know whether he's got anything to add.
That's true. Correct us if you think we're wrong.
But
You've
it's
got to be able
not
to
the
prove
home.
it.
New Zealand is not the home of Sauvignon Blanc. Not the original
It's
home.
true. It's true. So if we do talk a little bit of history,
C'est oulala les Français encore.
so indeed,
Yes,
France.
France once again.
The definite home in the Loire Valley, in fact, to be specific, right?
Yeah.
And actually, I've got a map. Shall we get a map out?
Let's get a map
Never
up
too
early.
early.
Good evening, Michelle Clark.
Never too early to get a map out. Here we
We
are.
have a map.
That is France.
That's France, if anybody didn't realise.
That is France. Now, the Loire Valley is the sort of Tandy Peach area in the west, sort of northwest as you look at the map. It's not really very far north, but so it spreads quite along. It's quite spread out as
It
a
does,
wine
it does.
region.
It goes pretty much all the way to Paris and nearly beyond.
So just if we're going to specifically look at the Loire itself, I'm going to get another map.
Go for it.
This might require a little bit of fill for a moment.
Right, okay. So the home of Sauvignon Blanc was France, or is France.
Uh-huh.
I arguably established somewhere between the Loire and Bordeaux back in the 100th century, hundreds of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So Sauvignon Blanc is well and truly established in the French soils, in the French turf. And so it's, super established, unlike the New World. But we'll talk about that in a second. So
just,
go for it.
Here's the Loire Valley in closer, and then more of a close-up, depending on what sort of screen you're looking at. Now, we are the first Sauvignon that we're drinking, and we hope you're joining us too, is, I'll just remove the map for a minute, is from the Loire Valley.
It is.
It's from a very famous little village that is a bit of a Chablis, but Chablis in Burgundy. So actually, I've got a picture of the bottles if you'd like me to put.
Oh
it on
yes,
the
even better.
to save wafting around overly white label. We'll come back to the Loire Valley. I'll just find a picture of the bottles. But so we chose 2 Sauvignon Blancs here, which we thought these are going to be really different to each other. Neither of the Marlborough, because we all know what Marlborough Sauvignon tastes like.
Do we?
Well,
we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll come back to that.
Yes.
But Petit Bourgeois, the bottle on the left, is the French, as you would guess by the name, and the Casas del Bosque or Casas del Bosque Sauvignon Blanc is Chilean. So this Sauvignon Blanc is extremely good value.
It is.
Why is that?
Oh, do you want to ask me the question?
Well, yeah.
Or do you ask them the question?
Well, no, I mean, we haven't imparted enough information to put these stressful questions
This is very clever, actually. So it's made by this chap. His name is Henri Bourgeois, as in le bourgeoisie, the wealthy. He discovered the natural... The cost of a vine or a vineyard in Sancerre...
Okay, well, that's...
In the Loire is incredibly expensive. And so he realized that actually he didn't classify this particular wine under any particular DOC or denomination d'origine control. And just basically called it 100% Sauvignon Blanc. Then he wouldn't have to jump through all the hoops. He wouldn't have to, follow all the rules and the guidelines. And arguably, he could produce his wine quicker, more efficiently. And the bottom line is that it was cheaper for him to produce, and therefore he brings it cheaper for us to enjoy. So actually, you're getting a wonderful Sauvignon Blanc here with all the accolades of the word that I'm not allowed to say.
No, you can say it. I think we've let slip on that. We have another
Sancerre, but it's not classified. It's not certified Sancerre. So Sancerre is a tiny little village in the Loire Valley. It's not a particularly attractive village to go and visit. So there are much nicer places in France, I have to say. But they do make fantastic Sauvignon Blanc. And as I said, this does not bear the word Sancerre on it.
I'll go back to the bottle shot in a minute.
Declassified Sancerre, which basically brings the price down. But for all intents and purposes, it is Sancerre.
And certainly from Sancerre is grown in the same soils, in the same climate, and by a producer who also produces official Sancerre too. Yeah. So here's the map of the Loire, Pam.
Hello.
This is the Loire Valley. Whereabouts are we looking at Sancerre?
Way to the east. So way to the east.
We're looking at the blue blob.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a million miles from where Beaujolais starts, actually. And Beaujolais is literally in sort of designated Burgundy country. It's... So
it's a big spread out region. Do the wines vary massively from one part to the other?
Ooh, I haven't drunk enough Sancerre recently to stay so.
But they're not necessarily.
They are fundamentally dry, zippy, and they should have that kind of like minerality to them, a slight sort of stoniness to them, which is sort of derived from kind of like a sort of a calcium chalky soil. So the vines sort of end up having to dig really deep for nutrients. And with it, the grape, the ripeness of the grapes, or the grape actually concentration, the fruit concentration of the grapes is that much more. So no, stylistically, you're kind of getting something which is,
because there's no great difference in altitude or
it's a constant. It's a constant. Influence. So, but what you do want in this particular style of wine is something that's zippy and zesty, but it's actually got fruit in it. And unfortunately, a lot of cheaper wines from the Loire Valley and Sancerre don't necessarily have ripeness or fruit. They just have this acidity, which can be quite searing. Anybody who's drinking this, I hope I hope they're realizing that actually there is some nice acidity there, which gives it length, but it's not like biting. It's not biting at all.
Well, the key is also at this point is to get a good food pairing with your wine. So again, I realize apologies for not getting the canapé recipes out earlier. However, well done for anyone who's made something which they think might suit. So I suggested with this particular Sauvignon, thank you very much, the smoked mackerel pate, which is done on these lovely little toasty spoons.
Ooh,
so there's a bit of lemon in there for acidity, and also those are little bits of cranberry on the top, which I've steeped in a bit of balsamic vinegar and just heated up so they're like plumped up with the vinegar, which also gives it a bit of acidity.
Yeah.
And as we said, the key to the wine and food pairing sort of science, if you like, is that acidity balances out acidity.
Yeah.
So
match like with like. You've got acidity in your wine. You want something that's slightly acidic in your food, or as Jude says, in this instance, it's the cranberry.
Yeah, and also the lemon juice.
And the lemon juice.
So here's a question.
Go for it.
Hi Olivia, welcome. Hi Jane again. Hello Penny. Welcome everybody. Who's drinking the Henri Bourgeois Sauvignon Blanc? Or are you drinking a different one? And where's it from? Let us know. And what are you eating with it? Have you chosen something slightly acidic? I know that, just going back to Luke and Simon are very good at playing by the rules when we suggest certain food types. And they have the goat cheese and beetroot canapé, which is excellent, and with some pan fried salmon with citrus, which just sounds lovely and perfect for generally all Sauvignon Blancs, I would say, to be fair. So let us know how it goes.
I mean, the nice thing about Sauvignon Blanc, but it's got to be good Sauvignon Blanc. The nice thing about this grape variety is that it goes with so many different things. Even chicken in a sort of white wine sauce or a sort of that or citrus lemony of some sort. It just sits comfortably, and particularly also with cheese. So actually, it's even going to go really well. Either of these are going to these canapés are going to be interchangeable.
Yeah, definitely. So the other one, I'll just wave one at you again. Really recommend you guys try and make these because they're so simple. It's like a 5-minute, 10-minute job, and then 15 minutes in the oven. And they're goat's cheese and beetroot little mini muffins with pumpkin seeds with a bit of goat cheese and beetroot. Essentially,
look at the colour of that
angel delight filling, which you're not going to get a good view of.
Okay, well, take it from me. It is psychedelic pink.
Sounds for me. I'm going to test the theory. But Nettie is here. The Wahlbergs are here. Ooh, that was close. Nearly lost my muffin to the dog.
So here's the thing. So we're talking about Sauvignon Blanc in a dry sense of the word here. But actually, Sauvignon Blanc is responsible for one of the most famous pudding wines in the world. And I want to know whether anybody can tell me what that might be. It's one of the most famous. It's a component of the blend, but a very important component of the blend, and it makes some of the, well, arguably the best pudding wines in the world. I'd love to know what you think. Yes, they're having the beetroot canapés. Yes, Tim, excellent. Well done, Tim.
Good job. Seafood, acidity.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep. So fruit de mer, a lovely great platter of fruit de mer, but you've got to have your, what do you call it? Oh, I always forget what it's called. The Madeleine? No,
Mignonette.
Mignonette, which is the little onion vinaigrette, which you
have with the oysters. Lovely.
With the oysters.
Yeah, mini muffins, got to say, brilliant combo. Make them using some yogurt, and it makes them really light and fluffy. Yeah, really good.
So just moving away from France. So France are the kind of like the champions of Sauvignon Blanc. And you've got a question.
Oh, well, I do. Oh, there we go.
Actually, I've still got a question out there. Has anybody said it? There's an interesting spelling of it.
But we know what you mean.
But I know what it's mean. It is indeed. So Sauvignon Blanc is a 50.
Maybe we shouldn't say anything, just in case we'll give some other people a chance to, the ether to empty of all the answers.
Okay, keep answering that question then. So which dessert wine is Sauvignon Blanc responsible in the world?
I love the fact that Michelle and Bob are eating mature cheddar with cheese and onion crisps. Oh, do you know what? It could work. So
It'll go with anything. But I want to move on. So you've got your question.
Yeah. Depending on which one it is that you're talking about, I'm going to ask about grape.
The love child.
Yes. Okay.
The love child.
With lots of different grape varieties in the world, we talked about Pinotage being a hybrid of Hermitage and Pinot Noir in South Africa. Sauvignon Blanc is actually a parent grape to a really, really very significant grape variety worldwide. So Sauvignon Blanc had a love affair with Cabernet Franc. Okay. What is the hybrid grape that came out of the relationship?
What's the baby? Sauvignon Blanc and Cabernet Franc.
Over to you. Yeah. Luke's very happy with the Sauterne, I think, and the canapés.
And whilst you're thinking about that, so actually, then you see back in the 70s, when sort of wine was really developing all over the world. There were kind of quite a few bright sparks that decided to sort of take learnings off the Europeans and take those vines and see whether they would work in other parts of the world. And of course, we couldn't not be here today and not talk about the Kiwis. New Zealand. And I found an interesting fact today, actually. So, the first vines were established in the Marlborough region of New Zealand back in the mid-70s. So actually, not a huge long length of time ago. Not a long time, really. So actually, and the land that they were planted on was basically just sheep farming, obviously. Mm-hmm. So it's
everything in New Zealand, surely
grazing land, but it hadn't really been used for anything else. But whoever it was sort of thought, "Yep, I can see an opportunity here," and he put it in. And in actual fact, it was one of the major big brands actually who was buying acres of land in Marlborough for $200 per hectare. That's New Zealand dollars.
This is in the 70s?
In the mid-70s. Mm-hmm. And I wonder whether anybody would like to hazard a guess as to how much an acre of land, vineyard land, vine land is in Marlborough today. It ain't $200.
No.
But anyway, what's happened there was in New Zealand, because the climate is particularly in the Marlborough region, is incredibly sunny. Now, not all of New Zealand is incredibly sunny.
I spent 3 months there. I'm not sure I saw any sunshine.
But it does get an awful lot of sun, and so it gets a lot of ripeness. And so as a result of that, the Sauvignon Blancs that they started beginning to produce were actually quite full and quite ripe and big and kind of luscious, and the fermentation was carrying on. It was producing more and more and more alcohol, and you began producing these kind of quite massive wines with very big characteristics. Mm-hmm. And I think it was Oz Clarke. Anybody's heard of the Oz Clarke journalist? I think it was him that sort of went out there as a journalist in the early days and spotted Cloudy Bay.
We've all heard of Cloudy Bay, surely.
And made a very important statement, which was possibly one of the best Sauvignon Blancs in the world at that time, mm-hmm. which is kind of interesting. And it really did set a mantle for New Zealand Sauvignon, or even New Zealand winemaking, to just explode. Mm-hmm.
Which it did.
Mm-hmm. But of course, characteristically, totally different. And I do remember back in my early days in the wine trade, sort of like in the mid-90s, when these New Zealand Sauvignons were coming onto the market, and I kid you not, you could have a couple of sips, but after that, it was like,
serious acidity,
was it? Blow your head off. Mm. They were so concentrated, literally a couple of sips, and that was it. Mm-hmm. Really tropical, really grassy, herbaceous, and like capsicums and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Let's not go too deep into the wine.
Yeah. So in the early days, they really sort of, they put themselves on the map, but actually they were quite like over vigorous. But then, since then they've kind of pulled back on that style a little bit, I think.
And that's kind of happened as our as a planets, palates have sort of developed as well. It's a bit like the big Aussie Chardonnay, super popular because you recognise it and you can say it, and then the Marlborough New Zealand Sauvignons did the same thing, really. So I just want to know which grape was the love child of Sauvignon Blanc and Cabernet Franc. There's been no guesses.
Nobody said it.
We have had the right answer on the dessert wine, which was Sauterne. So well done, Luke.
Yes. So Sauterne, anybody who's been lucky enough to have a glass of or a bottle of Sauterne is the sweet wine produced in Bordeaux. And it's pretty much 50% Sauvignon Blanc blended with 50% Semillon. And together, although Bordeaux does produce really dry whites as well, using those two grape varieties, Sauvignon and Semillon, but mostly, world renowned for Sauternes, Chateau d'Yquem, and all that. They are uber expensive. And
Very
they take
nice.
an awful long time to produce. And, you know, you only want a little bit, and it's not an everyday drink, but my God, it's good. So
if you stumble upon one.
So, yeah, I mean, you know, Sauvignon Blanc, it can do all sorts. It's a bit of a chameleon.
So I've just written down a couple of things about New Zealand, which I wanted to sort of mention. And actually...
Okay, and then I'll go back to the thoughts on Villa Maria.
So it was really in the kind of 90s, 2000s that New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc went boom internationally. And actually, we are one of the biggest export markets for them, aren't we? I scribbled down the USA they're probably their primary, but they are a vast nation. Then followed by us, and then interestingly, Canada.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Through the monopoly.
So Canada's got a monopoly on the importation of all alcohol.
All alcohol.
Yeah. Which basically means the government choose the wine list, and then the wine merchants can choose from that wine list, but only what the government says is allowed to come in. So if you get in, then it's a big market.
Yeah.
But
so we're the biggest consumers of New Zealand wine, are we?
Yeah, followed by the States, then Canada. Interesting.
But also interesting for any New Zealanders out there, and Simon Gilmore, you will like this. I'm not sure whether you're aware of this, but there's more New Zealand wine exported to Australia than produced in Australia. That's white wine. More New Zealand white wine exported to Australia than is actually produced in Australia. So that's a big tip for the little Kiwis.
Yeah, well done, the Kiwis. Kerry is pointing out that Sauternes is yummy, which is absolutely bang on.
It certainly is.
So we've had a couple of guesses on the grape varieties. This was the hybrid grape that came from Sauvignon Blanc and Cabernet Franc, being the parent grapes.
Russell Clark, Chenin Blanc. Do you know what? It's a good answer, but it's
guess.
not the right one.
It's not the one. Tim Carter has shouted his answer across the interweb.
It is.
Which is bang on. It is. It's Cabernet Sauvignon. So you'll kick yourselves if you didn't guess
it. So Cabernet Sauvignon is derived from a white grape variety, Sauvignon Blanc, and Cabernet Franc, which is the traditional red grape variety of the Loire Valley. Two of them came together and produced a baby.
And which is, I think, the most widely...
baby.
Big baby. One of the most widely, or the most widely planted grape variety worldwide.
Yeah. So anyway, so just finishing up on New Zealand, and it's kind of interesting that this chap, Henri Bourgeois, also produces wine in New Zealand. So his home is established in the Loire Valley, and he is from the Loire. But, you know, everybody gets bored now at one time or another, and he decided to go off on a little jolly to New Zealand and see whether he could sort of find vines or find land with which to sort of start growing wine in New Zealand, and he did. And we used to do his wines. They're called Clos Henri. We haven't got them at the moment, but if anybody wants them, then we would quite happily get them in. But otherwise, how much are we selling this for?
That is £13.20 a bottle.
£13.
So when you're looking at a Sancerre, official Sancerre with the stamp and the label, you know, it's £20 upwards, really. So you can get some cheaper. But
we do have Henri Bourgeois Sancerre on the list.
We do.
On the website, hannibalbrand.com, and I can't remember how much it is, but
it's absolutely stunning. And
it's around about the £19 mark, I believe.
If you want to spend an extra £10, or £8 or whatever it is, you do get value for money. But at your kind of £13 mark, I think it's fantastic.
For every day, this is great.
Very classic.
Yeah.
And I think another couple of things to mention about the Loire Valley and Sauvignon Blancs, because French wines, as we know, are a bit of a mystery in that it doesn't tell you what it is on the bottle. You don't know where it is. You can't pronounce the name. And,
that one does.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
But generally, it's a bit of a kind of minefield. So in the Loire Valley, if it's a white wine, it's going to be one of two, really, isn't it? Primary grapes.
Yep.
So Sauvignon Blanc
and
shall I say it or shall we?
I think you should say it.
Chenin Blanc.
Chenin Blanc.
Two main grape varieties. For your Sauvignons, which are all going to be of a similar style, you get the cheaper end of the scale, which tend to be from a place called Touraine. Have I pronounced that correctly?
Touraine.
Touraine.
Yes.
So Sauvignon de Touraine, slightly more affordable end of the scale, just down the road, really. Your Sancerre is up there with your Chablis and your Saint-Emilions. It's got carries its designer label, but very good wines.
Yeah.
There's a couple of other villages in the Loire which are very famous for producing high quality
Sauvignon Blanc. And they are, shall I say it?
Yeah, go on then.
Puy-Fumé, not to be confused with Puy-Fuissé. So Puy-Fumé is another little village right next door to Sancerre, just the same size. And the clue is in the name. So fumé, as in smoked. And it does have this it's 100% Sauvignon Blanc, just like Sancerre, but it has slightly more sort of gunmetal smokiness, hence the fumé, Puy-Fumé. Not to be confused with Puy-Fuissé, which is a little village in Burgundy where they produce Chardonnay. So totally different.
Minefield. It's like that.
But the fumé thing, Robert Mondavi out there in the USA, he picked up on that and coined the name Fumé Blanc, which is Sauvignon Blanc in American terms. But he started sort of experimenting with a little bit of oak. So Fumé Blanc in American terms can mean that it's been oak aged or oak fermented, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. So even if you see Fumé Blanc from America, and I'm just thinking Beringer Estate is a big brand. I don't know whether you can get it here these days, but you used to be able to. They have a Fumé Blanc, and I don't think it is actually oaked. I think it's just called Fumé Blanc just for traditional reasons. But they all still have that kind of like gooseberryness, like grapefruitiness.
With a zippiness to them.
The zippy Sauvignon, the zippy acidity that is always associated with Sauvignon Blanc.
And in America, they often use oak, don't they? So that also gives it a generally all-round bigger American character.
There's one other thing I just want to say, because I often talk about Sauvignon Blanc in slightly derogatory terms when we're talking about acidity, because unfortunately, because there's so much Sauvignon Blanc produced all over the world, every corner, even in the UK, they're producing Sauvignon Blanc. Because there's so much Sauvignon Blanc produced, it does mean that you get the good and the bad and the real ugly. And when these Sauvignon Blancs become like real searing acidity, it means the wine is out of kilter. So there's not enough ripeness in the fruit, and the acidity is just like punching in the nostrils, or punching on the nose, even not up the nostrils.
No.
Nostrils. And it's just not good Sauvignon Blanc. Sauvignon Blanc shouldn't be overly acidic. It should have a good racy acidity, but it should be balanced by the fruit. And that's all I have to say on that.
Okay, right. Pam has spoken. Another word, actually. So Sauvignon Blanc is one of the great varieties that is most areas in the world is called Sauvignon Blanc. But
yes.
We do have Fumé Blanc. And again, the Germans like to take their kind of twist on things. So in Germany, Sauvignon Blanc is known as Muscat Silvaner, which they call that very much as a description of its flavour. So it tastes a bit like a combination of Muscat and Silvaner, which are two other grapes. So that was the way they described it. So in Germany, you will get Muscat Silvaner. In the States, you will get Fumé Blanc, and it's likely to be a very different style, especially from your hotter climates. When you go up to Washington State, we went just before the lockdown, we went to a Washington State tasting, and there is much cooler, and you're very much more along the cooler climates style, like your Loire.
Yeah.
So wine number one, Henri Bourgeois, lovely. Cheers, everyone. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. Fantastic.
Cheers, Finn.
Cheers. By the way, this is not Sauvignon Blanc, although it does look like Sauvignon Blanc, which hasn't been filtered, which is quite good, actually. It is quite good. This is what Sauvignon Blanc looks like when it has not been filtered, or when it's sitting on its lees. The lees are the sort of gubbins of it, the sort of excess yeast and all that sort of stuff. And this is what it looks like when it's sitting in the tank. And basically, you either filter all that gubbins out of it, or you wait for it all to settle and become clear. And then you basically take all the clear juice off the top and leave all the lees in the bottom. There you go. Thank
Yeah,
you very much.
that's good. But this is not that.
That
And actually,
is not
Russell
it.
Clark was just asking, and this is you need to look up slurps. If you've got
vendor slurps,
if you've got dogs who
Doggy
need to
Sauvignon.
drink lots, then it's brilliant. Organic,
good for rehydration for doggies.
lots of omega-3, and just delicious. So look up slurps.
Right then, let's crack on.
Sauvignon 2.
Oh la la, Sauvignon Blanc.
Or dos.
Oh yeah,
indeed.
Dos. And whilst you're saying that, I don't know whether anybody knows what Sauvignon Blanc actually means. It's derived from sauvage, the word in France, in French for well, kind of like wild,
savage.
So it's kind of like wild white, and it's known as that because savage, sauvage, white, well, because it's actually quite difficult to control because it grows prolifically, and it does require quite a lot of work in the vineyard to sort of keep it cutting it back. So anybody who's got some tomatoes that are going bonkers, and there is a tomato going bonkers out there, and then the other ones are okay, but there's one of them's going absolutely bonkers. That's obviously the sauvage tomate.
I see. Or is it just the sauvage garden as a whole? I don't know. We haven't had as much gardening time as everyone else. Okay, so dos. Oh no, let me get the picture up because we can't wave things at this camera. We should know by now. So our second Sauvignon Blanc is from one of our favourite.
Well done, Jane
producers.
Rose. She got some slurps for her dogs.
Oh,
Loves
nice,
it.
nice
Excellent.
Yes, so number 2, which is the wine on the right, is our lovely Casas del Bosque Sauvignon Blanc.
Yep.
And we've called this Casas del Bosque for a long time, but I think it is Bosque.
I think it depends where you come from. In Chile, they pronounce it like Casas del Bosque. Bosque.
Okay, well, we'll seek clarification from a Chilean on that and come back to you. But these guys, they've won Winery of the Year in Chile 2 years in a row, 13 and 14.
That is a massive accolade to win Winery of the Year 2 years in a row is colossal, and that was by the International Wine Spirits Association. So it's
a big accolade,
no mean feat.
They produce. We've tasted a few of their wines in these sessions actually, which you'll see how much we like them. They produce single variety wines with big flavour. Big flavour. That's what it's all about.
Oh no!
So
this show.
Yeah, hang on a minute. Let me go remove picture zoom.
Okay, so all those people who love capsules, screw caps.
Yeah.
Look, it didn't come off. Now this is a little bit of a fault in a screw cap. Where the in this bit doesn't actually, it should sit in the capsule, but that bit, come on. Hey, it's not the end of the world, but
there we go. Nothing to get too worried about.
No.
Luke is just pointing out that Simon wears Sauvage.
He wears Sauvage.
So I'm presuming you're talking Dior as opposed to some sort of caveman outfit.
No, how much goes to Dior when it's coming up?
So totally different Sauvignon Blanc. Is anybody drinking the Casas del Bosque Sauvignon Blanc or Casas del Bosque?
And whilst you're answering that, I'm just going to tell you, just before we move on. So in the mid 1970s, an acre of land in Marlborough.
Oh yeah.
200 New Zealand dollars.
Billy bargain.
If you want to buy one today, you've got to dig deep. It's 85,000 spundoodles. $85,000 for an acre of land in Marlborough.
Not many campsites.
And you're not going to get out there for a while, I tell you. So, I think the price might come down, actually. Ooh, it'd be interesting.
Oh, yeah, maybe. It'd be interesting. Maybe. So the Wahlbergs love the Carmenere, not as keen on the Cab. Sauvignon Blanc, totally different kettle of fish, but similar in style.
It's white for one thing.
It's white, but it's very similar in style. So big of flavour. And I'm just going to go straight to trying this with one of my little muffins here.
Okay. All right. Well, whilst she's doing that, actually, kind of interesting. So this is 2018. And I was just reading the vintage report for this year. So bear in mind, in France, they harvest their grapes normally sort of September, end of August, middle of September. And in Chile, it's normally any time from sort of mid-January, could go all the way through to April. But Chile had the most ridiculous, difficult climate this year. And some of it was fortuitous, some of it wasn't. But they had terrible frosts, which any gardener will know, if you get frost during the flowering, basically you're just going to wipe out your crop. So their crops are down in some places around about 30%. And then followed by incredibly hot, very, very, very hot temperatures, which meant that the ripeness accelerated, and this is key, they were able to harvest almost a month earlier than they normally do, which actually at the end of the day was a godsend, because they had managed to finish harvest before they went into lockdown. And bear in mind, they would have carried on until sort of possibly into April. So bit of a godsend. So they managed to get all the wine in, all pressed into tanks, fermenting, bish, bash, bosh. So the 2020 vintage should be okay, albeit it's not going to be very cheap because there's only half of it.
But should be amazing quality-wise.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Okay, interesting. Anyway, so
yes.
A bigger wine altogether needs a bit bigger food with it. I went down the goat's cheese and beetroot muffin route. I think my muffins need more beetroot and a bit more oomph, but still a very nice combination. Key is, with all of these wines, give them a massively big swirl in the glass.
And do the big squishy thing that I keep talking about. Anybody who's not listened to before, I know it sounds a bit pretentious, but it's not designed to be pretentious. But if you coat your whole palate in wine and take in air, rather than just sipping it and letting it just go straight down your throat, you will appreciate it that much more. There will be an explosion of characters coming through in your mouth. So don't hold back. Get the air in your mouth.
So Bob and Clarky are drinking the Casas. Interesting to know what you think, but like I say, with those cheese and onion crisps or whatever it was you were eating, give it a good swell. This will go better with the crisps than the Henri Bourgeois, that's for sure.
Yeah. So comparatively, I think these are kind of interesting in actual fact, because I think by comparison, I think the Henri Bourgeois is showing us a lot more sort of balanced, whereas the Casas del Bosque has got this big boom of fruit and quite sort of dry on the palate. Maybe a little bit dry on the palate, but it's got the zippiness. The acidity is not like really searing. It's not hugely ripe, but it has got sort of like elements of tropical, like orange. I'm thinking orange marmalade-y things.
Yeah, I see what you mean then.
Orange.
With that slightly bitterness on the skin kind of thing.
Yeah. In some years, it's even bigger, but it really does depend on the climate. This is from a place called Casablanca, which is about 45 minutes outside of Santiago. Anybody who's been to Chile? Chile, everybody knows, is a big long thing. It goes from south to north, and that's about it. There it is.
So you're looking at Santiago being roughly in the purple patch.
Yeah, pretty much halfway.
Where purple meets pink in the middle.
Yeah. So nice thing about Chile is that it's protected pretty much on all sides from nasty bugs and creatures. So you've got your Andes on the east side, and you've got the Pacific Ocean on the west side, which means that they really don't struggle with sort of nasty little bugs and what have you. And arguably, the whole country could be certified organic if it really put its mind to it. This wine doesn't have any particular certification, but we know how they make their wine, and it's 100% organically produced. They don't need to use any chemicals or pesticides in the vineyards because there's nothing to kill. It's just all growing in abundance.
Easy farming.
All they have to do is basically do a little bit of selective cutting to keep the crops down, so that once you've cut the crops, you concentrate the fruit, and what they're trying to do is achieve consistency from one year to another. So there we go.
Which they do very well.
Yeah, be kind of interesting to know if anybody's got both of them, how you think that they compare. Well, we often put. Sorry, Jude.
That's right.
We often show this wine when we show it. We show it with a little bit of beetroot, roasted beetroot, on a goat's cheese salad, because that goat's cheese, a lot of people don't know that goat's cheese is actually very high in acidity. And so that acidity actually cuts beautifully through Sauvignon Blanc. And that's why Sauvignon Blanc goes so well with cheese.
Indeed.
So there you go. Alice is getting too much Pisco. Indeed.
Yeah. Too much Pisco doesn't leave your palate very settled for a glass of wine, that's for sure. So in Chile, I think we said when we were talking about the Carmenere, their biggest grape variety is Cabernet
Sauvignon.
And then second, which is 30% of their whole planting in Chile.
Yeah.
Second is Sauvignon Blanc. It's big for them. It's 11% of their entire wine grape production.
Yeah.
So it's an important export, I suppose. And it definitely was being pegged after New Zealand as one of the potentially new evolving home for
Chile's association with the US is huge, though, a little bit like Argentina, in that actually the Chileans' biggest export is to the US. The US love South American wines. They just, they can't get enough of it. And to be honest, arguably, it's so much cheaper to produce wines in South America than it is in the US. That actually they probably make up the sort of the lion's share of the cheaper offerings in American wine merchants. I mean, anybody who's been to America and goes into a wine merchant, the price of wine is eye-watering these days. But we won't be going there.
No, so don't need to worry about that.
We don't need to worry about that either.
Just interesting. Oh, hi, Francis, joined us as well. Tim Carter prefers the first one.
Oh, there's a split household in the Clarke household.
But the Carters are soldiering on, real troopers.
We persist with the Casas for research, of course.
They're very different, and stylistically, probably people have a preference one or the other. But there we go.
I think the nice thing to say about Casas del Bosque, though, as a whole, so some people have tasted their Carmenere, a red grape variety. Some have had the Cabernet Sauvignon. We also do the blockbuster Syrah Grand Reserva, which we covered a couple of weeks ago, in actual fact, and I know it was a mind blur for a lot of people. But the nice thing about this winery is that they don't blend their grape varieties. So it is 100% Sauvignon Blanc. It is 100% Syrah, and they are trying to get, proper sort of grape varietal characteristics in there without sort of, blending it away with other things. So kind of purists.
Yeah.
And they're lovely people. They are absolutely lovely people. And we've been following them since 1st of November 2012 when we started this whole shebang.
Indeed. So they should also love us. Just quickly, whilst I'm thinking of
tasting, there's a thing of, nobody even considered it.
Well, we didn't even know how to work the blooming thing. So just a quick shout out for the coming tastings.
Yeah.
On Sunday is all about English wine.
No, it's English. It's
it's not English.
It's English. It's Scottish. It's Welsh, but it's not British.
It's not British, and we'll tell you all about that. And the reason I got stuck on English wine is because we will be drinking our lovely. Oh, sorry, this doesn't work. We know it doesn't work. Davenport Vineyards. There we go. Lovely Davenport Vineyards Horsemondon Dry White, which is a delightful blend of about 5 or 6 kind of Germanic grape varieties. It's only 11.5%. It is a perfect Sunday wine.
Yeah.
It's not the cheapest. The English wine isn't, but it is fantastic. So that's 6 o'clock on Sunday. Next week, Thursday, Lebanese nights.
Ooh! What am I going to wear? What are we going to wear? More sequins.
So Lebanese night, we've got 2 Lebanese wines from the Becker Valley. I've nearly finished the first canapé recipe, and we'll get the other one up by tomorrow. So everyone needs to get the canapés ready. Get the wines, because they are wines that need food, and they are fantastic.
Yeah.
And you'll be glad to know they're not as expensive as Chateau Moussard.
Yeah.
We're talking the end of the scale that you can afford to open a drink on a Thursday when there literally is nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So that's Sunday and Thursday. We would like your help in inviting more people along to come and join the tasting. So
yes, please bring a friend.
Please share, invite your friends. I think there's even probably a box on Facebook now where you can invite friends to come and watch. And all of that is really great for us because, the more people we can chat to, the better. And, we are missing our Hay and Badminton festivals this month. So anything you can do to help would be much appreciated.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, and then just one last thing, a couple of last things. So look at this beauty. This is an ancient bottle of wine that I found knocking about in the shed a few days ago because we were so desperate. I mean, what sort of merchants are we? We didn't have a bottle of red wine in the house.
Yeah.
But this was put in the shed about 16 years ago. And we really didn't know what it was until we popped the cork, and then I remembered. And the beauty of this wine was all that, or the reason why it was absolutely in immaculate condition, albeit
inside, right?
Albeit having sort of spent 16 years in a dodgy old shed, was down to this fabulous cork. That cork is absolutely perfect. And that's so important to a bottle of wine. So when we talk about the components of a bottle of wine, forget about the label, forget about all that other packaging. But if it's got a good cork, your wine will hold for years and years and years to come. And it was fantastic.
Yeah,
the
delicious,
other wine,
stunning.
The other wine that we tasted this week, which we've just promoting actually, is Pierre Frick's Riesling Grand Cru 2014 from Alsace. Sorry about the wonky label. That's what's happened to it. This is an organic biodynamic Riesling, and with age. Oh God! And it's so mature. Stunning. It's so mellowed, and anybody who likes Riesling will just die for this. I think it is about £22 a bottle, so it's not cheap. But it's worth every
It's worth
penny.
it. Treat yourself and just sit and just savor every sip.
Yeah.
It'll last twice as long as any other bottle you open, because it's such a joy.
And the interesting thing is, it comes with a crown capsule, so like a beer bottle.
Yeah. So don't be alarmed when you peel the foil off and you think, what the bloody hell is?
And then, of course, lastly, just a massive shout out for all those rosé fans out there. We've got lots and lots of rosés. This Chateau d'Olier is kicking everything into touch, though. It is fantastic. Whilst the sun is continuing to shine and the forecast is brilliant, get your orders in for the rosé. All of the rosés that we've got are fab. Master Domas, Reserve de Gassac, the Zouine from Morocco is very nice.
Kyra from Turkey, really good. All really delicately coloured.
Yeah, go and have a look on the website, hannibalbrown.com. Right, I think that's a wrap.
I think so. Are there any questions we haven't answered, I wonder? We've said Sauternes is also Sauvignon Blanc and Semillon. We've said...
It was a 2004... Spanish Ribera del Duero, by the way. And Susan Gregory, no, it wasn't yours.
She's trying to claim it. Alice is very happy about rosé. The Wahlbergs love, I think it's the best rosé ever.
Kirsty's addicted. Woo!
Who won the competition? We didn't have a competition to win a bottle this evening.
No, I think he's talking about last week.
Oh, last week's was
Did we not
Alice.
make the announcement?
We have made the announcement.
Oh, well,
was Alice, who was about 30p out, I think, from what is the average price of a bottle of wine purchased in the UK, which was, I think, $5.73 or thereabouts. And I think Alice guessed $5.23 or $6.23. So anyway, the winner has been notified, and we will be bringing out another competition next Thursday on Lebanese night. Yeah. Room temperature chilled. Are we talking about the rosé? Oh, chilled.
Chill. Definitely.
All the way.
Especially in this weather. And by the way, if you can't see in the background a little board about label design and personalization, do not forget your Father's Day gifts this year. He will never forgive you if you don't remember. So you can personalize your preference. Just send us a photo. Any words, Happy Father's Day or whatever, or I love you.
So this was our Côte de Rhône, which we called Chateau Neuf du Pape, and had been on there, and it says, "Thank you for looking after me," which was a really nice gift to give. Oh, and obviously this is the big guy in the background. You can do anything. There's no minimum order. It'll take 3 or 4 days to turn around, and it's a really brilliant gift.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's it.
So
we've talked too long.
Always.
Please send us your photos. Show us what you're doing, because you can see us, but we can't see you.
Indeed.
And we'd love to see you.
Indeed. So I think it might be one more clap for carers.
It's really going to cause drop foot, probably.
I'm not sure I know what drop foot is, actually. When your foot drops. Oh, right. I'm sure if you just soaked it in vinegar for a while, it would eventually come good. Grandma would definitely have disagreed. Yes, Alice, I agree with the, I think that's with the Chateau Neuf du Pape.
Oh, really?
Possibly.
Right, so, that's it. We won't keep you any longer.
See you on Sunday for England, everywhere apart from British wine.
Yes.
In the Isles.
Yes.
Lebanese night on Thursday. Following Sunday is orange wine, which is an introduction to a whole new platform.
Scary monster.
Thanks everyone for joining.
Now go and do your clap, because I think it's the last clap going to be.
Swites just confirmed that, actually. So
Last clap tonight. Right, let's get out of here.
Let's see you Sunday.
Bye, everybody.
Cheers, everyone.
Thanks for listening.
Cheers.
AppleBrand.com. Bye, bye, bye.